Hey everyone, this is FaZe and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving you an updated review on the all-new Kindle Paperwhite. And I don't want to say all new because technically it's not a new model, but it is the latest model that was launched back in 2021. And I've been reading on this for 3 years now. So in this review, I'm going to be talking about how I like the Kindle Paperwhite 3 years later. And to be honest, not much has changed. I really loved it back in 2021 and I really love it now in 2024. So it's a beautiful e-reader, and I did test a lot of other e-readers as well, like the Kobos and the Nooks and even the iPad mini. I did quite a bit of reading on over the past couple of years, but I kept coming back to this Kindle Paperwhite. And this is the signature edition model, so I'm going to go over the differences between the standard one and the signature edition. But without any further ado, let's get started with my review, where I'm going to talk about design, reading experience, ways Amazon can improve this device, and the differences between the standard edition and the signature edition. So without any further ado, let's begin. So first, let's start by talking about design. The design of this Kindle Paperwhite is quite simple, but it's definitely quite an update from the previous iteration. It now has a 6.8-inch display versus the 6-inch display of the previous Paperwhite. Now, back in 2021, 6.8-inch display for an e-reader was pretty big. But now in 2024, I feel like I wouldn't have minded if it was slightly larger. In fact, that's one of the things that I really want Amazon to do. I want Amazon to bump up the 6.8-inch display of the Kindle Paperwhite to a 7-inch display. I think that should be kind of like the new norm. And I think there's quite a few ways that Amazon can achieve this. But once again, 6.8-inch display, not bad by any means. It's beautiful, but I think I would like a larger display. In fact, the new iPhone 16 Pro Max has a 6.9-inch display. Now, obviously, based on the aspect ratio, you get more reading space in this versus the iPhone, but I would like for this screen to have a larger display is what I'm trying to say. Now, putting aside the screen size, the overall footprint of this device is really nice. It's very thin and very light, and it's the size of a paperback book, so I really enjoy that. So one thing I do want to note about the Kindle Paperwhite is that it has a flush display. So for example, with the Kindle Basic, the bezel is slightly raised. Personally, I like the flush display because I like the clean and minimal look of the device, and I personally don't like the feel of when the screen ends and where the bezel begins. Plus, you don't have to worry about the dust that might get trapped in between the bezel and the display. And also, you might get a little more glare with this flush display than the one with the raised bezel, but it's very marginal, and overall, it doesn't make a big impact, and I still prefer this flush display over the ones with a raised bezel. Also, the Kindle Paperwhite is water resistant with an IPX8 rating, so for those who want to take it to the beach and are afraid to get it wet, you don't have to worry about that because the design of the Kindle Paperwhite is relatively nice. They have color options, which they didn't necessarily have back in 2021. Now you have a denim colored and this agave green alongside the black one as well. Plus, I'm someone who doesn't like to use a case on their Kindle. I really like the thin and light form factor of this device. And, sometimes you add a case and it adds a little more heft to the product itself. And I don't necessarily like that. I like how I can just grab this with one hand, start reading, and I don't have a flap that I have to, move to the back. I just don't like the feel of that. So I have tried cases for the Kindle Paperwhite, but I always come back to not using it without a case. However, I do travel a lot, so I got this really nice sleeve from this company called Comfiable. It looks really nice and premium, and it just cost me like $15 on Amazon. It's sleek, but it also has a touch of this old school luxury diary feel to it, which I really like. So if you're interested in the sleeve, then go check out the link in my description below. Trust me, it's really nice, and it comes in other colors as well. Now, before we talk about the most important thing of the Kindle Paperwhite, which is the reading experience, the last thing that I want to mention about the design is the bezels. Now, the bezels have slimmed down quite a bit from the previous iteration of the Kindle Paperwhite, but now that it's 2024, I kind of find the bezels to be a little thick. And a lot of people might say that's a good thing because you can rest your thumb on it, right? But nowadays, you have devices that have gotten so much smarter with detecting actual presses versus accidental presses to the screen. So for example, with my iPad, I always have my thumb on it, but the iPad's doing a great job on detecting whether it's an actual press or an accidental press. And I definitely feel like with the Kindle, if the borders were slimmed down, then you could have a much larger display, right? Maybe something even larger than 7 inches. And yet at the same time, the overall footprint and the size of the device could stay the same. So once again, it's not a big deal. I'm just kind of nitpicking here, but I do think that if the borders were slimmed down a little bit, and you got a larger display, I would be so much happier. But anyways, that just wraps up the design part of the Kindle Paperwhite. Now let's talk about the reading experience. So the Kindle Paperwhite has a 300 pixels per inch display, so it's very sharp, crisp, beautiful to look at, and it won't tire your eyes even after long reading sessions. I loved reading on this device back in 2021, and now 3 years later, I love reading on it just as much. And I keep thinking about ways where Amazon can improve this device, and to be honest, I really can't because it's a joy to read on. And then you also have the warm light functionality, so based on the environment that you're in, it automatically adjusts the backlighting and adds warmth to your overall screen. So when you're reading, it's much more natural and easier on the eye, especially as it's nighttime. It's good to reduce the blue light intake, right? I just love how it automatically becomes warmer because it's much, much easier to read. And this is something that we've gotten used to, right? With tablets and computers and our phones. As it gets nighttime, the warm light kind of hits in and it's much easier on the eye. So that's one thing I really do love about the Kindle Paperwhite, the warm light feature. And also you can adjust the brightness to whatever fits your needs. There might be situations where you feel like, okay, I need the screen to be brighter, and you can do that. So it can get very, very bright and it can get very dim. And I think that's perfect because it's whatever you need at that time or moment. And once again, there's not much that I can really talk about this other than saying I love reading books on it. And I think the form factor has a lot to do with it because it's such a thin and light device, but it's also the great quality of the display and the operating system. I think Amazon has done a great job in giving you the great experience that people deserve from their Kindle. It's fast, it's easy to use, and it's also very easy to search new books. And I also love how greatly it synchronizes with my other devices. So if I'm reading on my iPad, I can pick up on this device right where I left off on that. So that's something I really, really appreciate, and that's something that takes the reading experience even further. Now, like I said in the very beginning of this video, this is a signature edition model of the Kindle Paperwhite. And a lot of people want to know the differences between the signature edition and the standard edition, and if it's worth paying an additional $40 to get the signature edition. So let me just go over the differences very quickly. So first, you don't get any ads. Now on the standard Kindle Paperwhite, you get ads on your lock screen and throughout the device. And if you pay $20, you can remove those advertisements, right? But from here, day one, you don't get any advertisements. And it's really nice because you can have the cover of your book to be your lock screen. And you don't get that if you have the ads enabled. But once again, you can pay $20 extra with the standard one also. But like I said, if you're already paying $40, half of the money is already going towards canceling out those ads, right? So that's one thing. And the second thing, which I think is perhaps the most important thing, is that the brightness of this device adjusts on its own. In today's day and age, we're so used to our smartphones and tablets and computers automatically adjusting the brightness based on our lighting situation and environment. To not have that on a Kindle is kind of like a deal breaker. The fact that it can adjust the brightness without me having to do so is amazing. The third thing is that the standard Kindle Paperwhite comes with 16 gigabytes of storage, and this one comes with 32 gigabytes of storage. Now, that for me is not a big deal because books do not take up a lot of space on these devices, but overall 16 gigs is a lot. So if you're someone who wants to literally have thousands of books stored on their Kindle Paperwhite, you might appreciate that. For me, it doesn't make a difference. I might need like 5 to 10 books downloaded on the device. That's pretty much it. And then the last addition is you get wireless charging with the Kindle Paperwhite. And to be honest, I thought that would be really, really cool. But to be very honest with you, I don't use that at all. That is a feature that doesn't affect me, not even one bit, because the battery life on this device is so great. Whether you get the standard one or the signature edition, you get about 10 weeks of battery life. And yes, even after quite a few years of me using this, I still get, I want to say 8 to 10 weeks of battery life with my Kindle. I plug it in like maybe once, every 2 months, and I'm set. So I don't really need the wireless charging. And I don't know, I feel like it's kind of gimmicky. But once again, if you enjoy wireless charging and you're trying to go all wireless, you may appreciate that. But that's basically what separates the Kindle Signature Edition with the standard one. So I think those are, quite nice additions to pay $40 for, right? So if that is something that you want to do, I say go for it. But at the end of the day, the Kindle Paperwhite is one of the best e-readers I have ever owned, and I've tested quite a few. In fact, on my channel, I've reviewed tons of e-reading devices, but there's something special and unique about this one. So if you are in the market for an e-reader, I would say definitely go for the Kindle Paperwhite. I think it's a fantastic device. But at the end of the day, I want to know your thoughts. Are you interested in the Kindle Paperwhite? If you are, I have a link in the description below. Use that link to buy it. It helps my channel out. And let me know your thoughts about what you think of the Kindle Paperwhite, and if you've owned one or you're thinking about owning one. Whatever your thoughts are, whatever your questions are, leave them down in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, and I'll see you next time.